I tell you, Killdozer is a wonder. He organised all my conspiracy theories into one manifesto.
Man, that's gonna save some real wasted time.
Plus he gave me this appointment daily. My whole week's on it. This thing will do anything. Watch, I'll ask it if jet fuel will melt steel beams. Or I'll ask it in ancient Mayan why the world didn't end in 2012. And look, it even has a supply of tinfoil.
Man, conspiracy theories are amazing.
Man, a guy could get banned on Instagram real quick posting that.
Well, I tried to make an account.
Yep, banned real quick.
Childhood.
You needed those. You really did. Which is true. Means that for us all. Up yours, children. Why does mine look like that?
And we never did.
Welcome to No Kids 3 Money, a Simpsons podcast through the lens of time. It's your new favourite podcast about your old favourite show. I am one half of your host, Ned.
And I'm Matt.
And our trusted producer over there behind the camera.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hello. Look at that mic.
With his nice professional microphone.
Oh, I fucking upgraded finally.
Doesn't have to hold anything.
Hands free.
They let me out of the attic.
Moving on up.
Yeah, we fed him today.
You notice the, absence of chains around his ankles.
Yeah. No shackles.
He's a free range producer now.
No fish heads.
Kugo.
I made a pigeon, Ned. The bit where
I
it's
bet
just
you've
like,
never even seen your own face in the mirror. Here, look.
punches him through the mirror. Oh, fuck. What a good episode. Unlike the fucking Treehouse of Horror that we had to cover yesterday.
Travesty.
Yeah, so speaking of which, what have we got in store for the people this week? What a fucking segue.
Nailed it. We have season 2, episode 12, and season 11, episode 2, and season 21, episode 4.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. It's just going to get harder and harder from here.
Yeah, wait. Do you say season... Wait. Yeah, you are right. Sorry, don't worry.
Thank you very much. That's my job.
So, what are you in for?
I'm a political prisoner. Last time I ever take a stand.
Well, I'm here for being me. Every day I show up, act like me, and they slap me in here.
Simpson, be quiet.
I haven't seen you in school before.
Okay, Simpson.
What?
You just bought yourself another day of detention.
Maybe we should get together sometime.
2 days.
I'm sorry, I don't even know your name.
I'm Homer.
3 days.
Jake.
4 days.
Simpson.
5 days.
It was worth it.
6 days. Okay, Simpson, to the back of the room.
Immediately questioning your integrity.
Yeah.
So do you want to start us off with season 2, episode 12?
Oh my God. He's got it the right way around this week, folks. Yes, this episode is titled The Way We Was. Synopsis reads, in the first Simpsons flashback episode, Marge tells the story of how she and Homer met in high school in 1974. Marge and Homer meet for the first time during detention, and he immediately tries to get Marge to be his date for the prom. She initially agrees, but ends up attending with Artie Ziff. Homer falls in love with Marge and tries to get close to her by enlisting her as his French tutor. After several hours of verb conjugation, Marge falls for Homer too, only to become enraged when he admits he is not a French student, since the time she spent tutoring him meant she didn't have time to prepare for an important debate. In the end, Marge regrets going with Artie to the prom and reveals that she has fallen in love with Homer.
Yes. So my first note's not even related to them two. Is this the first appearance of McBain?
Oh, yeah.
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 And I might as well bring it up now as well, because I'm pretty sure there's another first appearance in this episode. Is this also the first appearance in this episode of the, sarcastic guy?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So that's 2 weeks in a row in season 2 episodes that we've got, several recurring characters appearing for the first time.
Yeah, so it's Artie Ziff's first appearance as well.
Oh, it is.
And
recurring to a degree. He comes back
yeah, he's
twice from what I can remember.
He's in it for a couple of episodes throughout the series. There's one other character as well. I just can't remember it right now, but it'll probably come up at some point. That was another first appearance.
And we never did.
Yeah, fuck. It was good to see McBain finally. And I got a quote from that particular scene. So it's McBain walking into his boss's office, I presume, and he's like, "That's it, McBain. You're out of here." McBain punches him out of the window. And then he lands on the ground. That makes 2 of us.
I missed that.
Oh.
I was too focused on the fact that he didn't really have like, I couldn't figure out what his accent was trying to be. It sounded vaguely German kind of thing, but they were obviously going for like way more of an Arnie takeoff.
Yeah, so
straight away, as opposed to just sort of like giving him his own sort of voice.
Yeah, they've just gone straight to ripping off Arnold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Due to the size of him and everything like that. They
Yes.
needed like some sort of tough character in the series.
And another one of those just like through lines, like, you know, how often does McBain appear? And once again, he's appeared in 2 episodes within this episode.
Yeah,
So
correct.
It always fucking happens.
Yep.
Wait.
Oh, there was a thing about the McBain name as well. So when the film McBain was released in 1991, after the episode had aired, the film's producers refused to allow the show to use the name in future episodes, so the name Rainier Wolfcastle, to represent the actor's real name, was created to use instead. Later, the show used the name McBain anyway. So the movie...
Wait, so there's actually a movie called McBain?
Yeah, which came out not long after this episode of The Simpsons release. So I think in 1991, a movie with Christopher Walken and someone else came out with the name McBain spelt the same.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And the
Christopher Walken as McBain.
I used to see you.
Oh fuck! This the poster for this movie is like 80s as fuck.
Good, eh?
Oh, it's
like their face is
Oh my
blown up.
god, McBain.
Yeah.
Not one word.
Looks like an Arnie type movie as well.
Oh, like this almost looks like a porn parody of some kind.
McPain.
Oh,
no, McVeigh.
Oh fuck! Look at this Blu-ray cover for it as well.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Like, bro, Christopher Walken should not be an action star.
Fuck no.
No. There was one other note about this as well. So the writers actually invented Wolfcastle for the episode "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" before The Way We Was went into production. But since The Way We Was aired before it, it is still considered his first appearance. So "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" is at the end of season 2, which is the Herb Powell episode, Homer's half brother. And we've discussed before, like, them producing all these episodes, not really putting them out in any particular order, and this sort of showcases that perfectly.
Yeah, we had an instance of that a couple of weeks ago where something, sort of appeared before it was, or appeared before we thought it did anyway.
I think, because the animation on one of the episodes, sort of like midway through the start of season 2, wasn't as good as the start of season 2.
Yes.
You also have that like overlap with the first couple of episodes of season 2, where like the voices aren't quite nailed, the animation is still a bit,
Colors are a bit strange.
still like a bit cartoony.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
For lack of a better way of describing it.
Yeah, 100%.
So we go sort of like the TV starts fucking up then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then Homer walks up to it and starts hitting it. He's like, what does he say? Something about like, let Dr. TV handle it.
Yeah.
He hits it like one time, but it looks like you lost a patient, Doc.
Yeah, it's got like static and whatnot currently.
It just, it gets worse and worse and worse. And then all of a sudden the TV turns off. And that's what prompts Marge to sort of say, we used to do all this other stuff other than watch TV.
Yeah. This is what starts the...
telling them that story. Well, she asked originally, ask any question kind of thing about like us. And Lisa asks, how did your father propose?
Yeah.
And it essentially turns out that he proposed because Marge was pregnant with Bart.
Yeah. You see like a young Dr. Hibbert with the afro and stuff like that.
So straight from there to her telling the story pretty much. Or Bart, I think Bart says a couple of like smart ass things.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And they drop into Homer driving, listening to When Birds Suddenly Appear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like
Marge's favourite song.
Yeah. And it comes up in an episode we've covered already where Marge gets the doorbell. And it's funny, like I didn't really know it was like a seeded thing during the series of Marge has something that has continuity throughout the series.
You got it this week.
I had to think about it. I nearly fucked it again.
I don't say continuity.
I say continuity.
I knew that it was a thing, but I didn't realize that they used it so many times throughout this episode. Like, it's used obviously in that, original opening to the story where Homer's driving, listening to it, then he changes it and starts listening to, what's the fucking name of that song?
I don't know. I can't remember it.
Kenny Rogers? Is that the name of the guy? The gambler?
Kenny Loggins?
No. Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway.
Don't know.
He rocks up at school and they're sort of telling the story about how they've... Because I was always under the impression that Marge, turned up at the school, hadn't been there for, the entirety of their high school... What the fuck is the word? Careers. I don't know how the fuck you would say it. Just the time that they were at high school, I thought that Marge turned up in the later grades, and that's why he never really noticed her.
I get what you mean.
So it was surprising to me that that was a big part of the story about how they always existed around each other but never really noticed one another.
Yeah, I think that had to do with the fact of Homer and in particular Barney were just smoking and drinking and stuff like that, whereas Marge was on her way to a greater education in terms of being in the debating team and, I don't know, standing up for what she believes in.
She walks past the bathroom and she says something like, oh, the shop kids are smoking again. And then it pans in there to Barney and Homer smoking cigarettes.
Which is probably one of the only times they actually smoke in the show from my memory. Apart from sort of not main characters having a cigar every now and then.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So yeah, Marge and her friend were talking about women's rights and equality, and then Marge, they're saying something about the same pay as men get, and then she said, everything except for heavy lifting and math.
Yeah, well, not if I have to do heavy lifting or math.
Yeah. It's funny that that's still an ongoing thing to this day, is equal rights and equal pay for the same job done.
Yeah. I understand.
No, don't do it.
Catfish.
No. No, Neddy, no.
Yeah. Let's not.
Think interesting fact though is that they've retconned this story of Homer and Marge meeting.
Yes, this is
yeah. They've retconned it twice.
Yeah.
So they did the initial one in season 2. Season 15, the episode is called The Way We Weren't. Yeah.
Okay.
So they're straight up just completely flipped and changed the entire premise. And I think there is another episode in season 28 or something where they've retconned it again.
Wow. I do remember seeing, it was probably the season 15 episode, because I've seen bits and pieces of a flashback to this episode. And I don't think I've actually watched this episode in its entirety before, because it didn't ring a bell to me. But seeing certain scenes of it, I do recall. It was probably the season 15 one probably has Artie Ziff in it again.
Yeah.
That's why they think back on it.
I think it has a character that Homer mentions a handful of times, Debbie Pinson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah, I've seen that episode you're talking about.
The season 15 one, I think they fully retcon Homer's character as well. So he's not a burnout. He's kind of cool and jockey.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. You're a cool Homer Simpson. Debbie, that was mean. Yeah, that seemed like a much earlier in the series type episode than season 15.
That scene that you're talking about that's just a random flash to something.
Yep.
A memory that he has, I think.
Yep.
Actually, maybe not. Yeah, how many times have they told this fucking story?
God, I don't know.
Jesus.
I think they've also just retconned their early life a few times as well. There's I think in there's the episode early on where they talk about Marge being pregnant with Lisa. And it's Homer and Marge and Bart live in an apartment. It's the one where I think it's in the end credits where Bart's
swinging on the clothesline.
Yeah. Tire himself out too.
Yeah.
Got your nose, got your wallet.
Loved that bit.
But I think it's just like, yeah, I think at a certain point where like the original writers dropped off, like,
Yep.
they're just like, all right, fuck it, whatever. We'll just completely retcon it. There's no continuity.
Yep.
Nor should there really be with a show like this.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
They have done it for some niche things, but nothing like solid that would be life changing.
No. It's like you get sometimes like a character dies and that's about it.
Yeah.
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 Like after the movie, like Dr. Nick like just doesn't appear anymore because he dies in the movie.
Oh, okay. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Oh, he does too. That's right. Gets like impaled on a big bit of glass or something.
Yeah, yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, bye, everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
Bye, Mr. Gibson. So I've remembered who the first appearance of for the other person we were forgetting is Dundelinger, the headmaster.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they mention him by name in that
He does.
episode. He does?
In what? This episode?
Yeah.
One time.
Okay. So it's, yeah, so Homer and Barney are smoking in the toilets and Dondelinger sees them and comes in and says, all right, guys, you know what the drill is, like where the detention is, and they recite exactly what Dondelinger was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this is when Marge is protesting out the front of the school on the megaphone about, like, I don't know what it is.
Just equal rights, essentially. Yeah.
And she was like, I want to get rid of these, like, man-made or man-enforced things, and, like, burns a bra down to the, like, the underwire of it.
Yeah.
And then Dondelinger puts her on detention for the first time ever and says something a bit along the same lines as what he said to Homer and Barney.
Yeah, he's like, you know the drill. And she's like, no, I don't.
Yeah. And then, yeah, my next note is it sort of cuts to the detention scene and Marge walks in, and When Birds Suddenly Appear plays again as she walks in.
Yep.
And it's sort of like that delayed running towards the table.
Yeah, like stop motion almost.
Yeah. I don't know, it just gives the inflection that Homer's like stuck in a gaze.
Yeah.
Or a daze.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Yeah, and this is like the third instance of Barney asking somebody out to the prom and just getting hideously rejected.
Yeah. It's like not even if you were the last man on earth.
Yeah.
Esque.
Yeah, essentially. And they just like progressively keep getting worse. Women are just disgusted by him.
Yeah.
So Homer sort of figures out that Marge is intelligent and maybe needs to try and feign some form of intelligence to keep talking to her. I can't remember exactly what they talk about. They talk about a couple of things and then...
So I've got like Homer's first words to her, essentially, like he shuts Barney up and then moves in a bit closer. And then he says, what are you in here for? I'm a political prisoner. The last time I ever take a stand. That's like famous last words for Marge, because that's pretty much all she does in like episodes with her as the focus or the spotlight, is standing up and fighting against something.
There's been like two of those
already
in like recent weeks as well.
Yeah. Maybe that was just like
that's pretty much like
subtle poke at her character traits.
90% of the episodes centered around Marge.
Mm.
Like just her getting her back up about something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So I thought it was a funny sort of point in time to mention this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, I don't know, maybe it's just a throwaway line at that point in time. But had they sort of established that that was going to be her character? Because she had done the Itchy and Scratchy and Marge thing. It was maybe like, what, 2 episodes before this? 2 or 3?
Yeah.
So they had sort of semi-established that it was a part of her character. But once again, we don't really know
when they produced
it. So this episode could have been produced before that episode and the air dates could have just been different. So who actually knows where the first iteration of this was?
Yeah, that's it.
It's probably just them getting a rough outline of how her character... just like how her character is like... And then they produce storylines around that.
Yes.
I think it's also like interesting as well, like how similar to Lisa she is in this episode.
Mm.
Like...
Yep.
Where she's like, you know, very scholastic, very like opinionated about like her political beliefs, and how similar Lisa is in these early seasons to her.
Yep. Yeah, true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Whereas like, you know, like
Homer's passed on his traits to Bart.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then like, you know, how Lisa sort of just devolves into a morose fucking ennui kind of character where she's just fucking depressed about everything.
Yeah, just fucking miserable.
Rather than like, you know, getting her back up about everything and like making a stand.
She's already defeated before she tries.
Yeah.
Yep. I getcha. Yeah, my next note is after Homer is happy with himself about getting a form of date with Marge. I think did he mention to her about like the French? He was taking French class and he needed the French tutoring.
Happen yet. So
yeah, right. Okay.
I think he
goes back to home with Grandpa.
Not yet. I don't think. I think the next scene is him sort of being infatuated with her and following her around a little bit, and he follows her into the debate class.
Yep.
And just like signs up for it and has no fucking idea what's going on. And then Artie's if's like speaking down to him.
Yeah.
That word you keep calling me, that means I'm stupid.
Yeah. Ignoramus.
Yeah. And he says it like in the middle of the set. He's like, that word you keep calling me. He's like, ignoramus.
Yeah. And then Artie was like, oh, there's a big difference between like stupidity and ignoramus or something like that.
And ignorance, yeah. And the Homer doesn't understand it, so he just calls him an ignoramus and they devolve into yelling at each other.
Yeah. And then the teacher calls Homer up to give his side of the debate and he just moons everyone.
Calls him up to give his rebuttal.
Yeah, that's
And he pulls his pants down because he thinks that's what it means.
Yeah.
Then I'm pretty sure after that is when he runs into her again in like the playground or whatever.
Yeah, they're doing track.
Playground, for lack of a better explanation.
Yeah.
And he starts saying, like, hey, remember me? I'm the guy that pulled his butt out in the debate. She's like, oh, yeah, kind of thing. Then he asks her out and she rejects him.
Yeah. I don't really know enough about you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can't remember whether he speaks to Grandpa before or after he asks her to the prom.
I think it's before.
Yeah, because that might be like the next scene.
Yeah, because Grandpa essentially is trying to bring Homer back down to earth, saying like, why'd you aim so high for someone this beautiful straight away?
Yeah.
Go for the dented cards first.
The dented car.
That's all I have from that particular scene.
Well, it cuts away from like the story and then goes back to what it would have been an ad break when it was being aired, but it cuts back to the family and they're sort of just like, I think Lisa says something, I can't remember exactly what she says, but she's really into the story, and then it cuts to Bart and he's standing there smacking the TV, just going, great story, positively spellbinding, just smacking the fuck out of the TV, going, why won't you work?
My next note is Homer goes to the guidance counselor for help getting Marge. I think he's like misconstrued what a guidance counselor actually does.
Yes.
And then the guidance counselor says like, try to share a common interest and spend. The rule of threes again.
Yes. Then he gives him a pamphlet for the newly opening nuclear power plant, which is
doesn't need a
one of the only industries that doesn't require a college degree, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So fucking crazy.
Makes no sense.
To be a nuclear safety technician, you can just fucking... Yeah, Homer just turned up on the first day. I didn't even know what a nuclear power plant was. So I think it's from there that he goes and... No, wait, so we've mixed things up. He then goes and asks her out on the playground and then gets rejected. And then as he's sort of in like that moment of realizing he's being rejected, still talking to her, and she says that she's a tutor.
Yeah.
And he says, oh, well, you know, that's good because I need tutoring in French or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So they set up that date. She comes around and he's playing like Barry White or something like that. Got the lights turned down low.
Why have you got kissing music on?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Then there's like just sort of a montage scene of them being a little bit awkward with one another, and it sort of cuts to later on. And
Marge is checking her watch at a few different points.
I think it's Homer checking his watch.
Right.
Yeah. Or it's like he's not even checking his watch. I think it's just sort of like panning in on his watch to show that it's been a significant period of time. And he's getting quite good at French. And then she says that she needs to go. He convinces her to stay. And then there's like another little sort of montage cut where they're like dancing. It's like 1 a.m. or something like that. Something in my eye, motherfucker.
Not supposed to get things in it.
Then she says something about how she really likes him because he's like honest and doesn't seem to have anything to hide. And then he sees that as his opportunity to tell her that he's been lying about being a French student. So
Yeah.
she slaps the fuck out of him and leaves.
Yeah. I hate you.
Yeah.
Runs out.
Then he calls Barney straight away and says he's got a date to the prom. Because, yeah, he asks her in that period of time whether she wants to go, and she says yes.
Yeah.
It's weird. There's not a lot of, like, in-between storytelling between a lot of these moments. They just sort of, like, jump to and fro, for lack of a better explanation. Do we go straight from there to him turning up at the house, or is there something in between there?
I think this is where Marge goes back into...
Oh, wait, I have one note to bring up before I forget. Why did his arms bend like that when he was singing in French?
Oh, I didn't notice.
There was, like, when she said something about him being able to sing Chanty Alouette in French, and he starts singing it, and then there's this weird part where his fucking hands, like, go, like, behind his back, and his elbows are, like, up past his ears, and I'm just like, what the fuck happened there?
Don't know.
Just some weird animation glitch.
Yeah. Blunder.
Yeah. You got the button?
I do. It's gone.
The moment's gone.
Should have got a screenshot of that one, Neddy.
Yeah, probably. We'll look it up.
And we never did.
You beat me to it.
Right on cue.
Yeah. So yeah, Marge goes into a class. I think it's probably a debating class because Artie Ziff's in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically swoons her into going to the prom with him. Like, he asks her and she's already standing there smiling, going to say yes, and he's rattling off different reasons as to why she should say yes.
He's got like a full speech prepared as to like all these fucking different reasons as to why she should go with him.
Yep.
And she accepts. Then we get the first appearance of the sarcastic guy because he turns up at Homer's house to pick him up.
Yeah, it's a little bit later.
Why? What else happens in between there?
I got heaps of notes in between there.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you got?
So like Marge and her friend, I think her name's Estelle, they check Homer's references. Yeah, I don't know. I must have just glazed over them. Anyway, we'll go from God.
That's only a short. I do remember the scene that you were talking about. That's only a short scene after he says. I can't remember whether that's the first time he asks her out or whether that's like the second time and he gets rejected.
Yeah, there is a few things that there was one good quote. I'll just say that briefly. It's when they do cut back to the house and Bart's smashing on the TV. Homer says, "Oh, you may be telling this to your own son someday if something breaks." Like, because Bart's not paying attention. And yeah, he then goes back to where we're up to in the ep. I even skipped school for 3 weeks and I'm graduating this summer, hopefully.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, he skipped school for 3 weeks to try and avoid her.
Yeah.
So that she couldn't tell him no.
Yeah, exactly. And then, yeah, this is where the sarcastic guy is driving the limo.
Yep. And we get like the first, it's obviously like the first no, it's not the first appearance of Mother Bouvier, is it? She's appeared.
Yeah, she's appeared already.
Yeah. Well, it's probably one of the only like 2 or 3 times that I can think of that you see like a young version of Marge's mum.
Yep.
She's used like there, and then like one of my favorite scenes of all time.
This is what a cornfield looks like, honey.
The plane's attacking him.
Yeah. Very, very good.
That was so perfect.
This is also the first appearance of Clancy Bouvier. That's what Marge's dad's name is.
Ah, right. Yeah, and he's got red hair as opposed to like blue hair when it's shown later in the episode where he's a stewardess.
Yeah.
In that same episode with the cornfield thing.
Don't look at me.
Yes.
Don't look at me.
Wowenstein. That's a classic.
What does she say her name is? My name is Weiss.
My name is Wyatt. Wowenstein.
Yeah, the sarcastic guy has a couple of good lines. I've got one for after the prom. So we'll go from, where he's driving the limo, stops at Marge's house. He goes in and Marge's dad sort of likes him at first. Patty and Selma answer the door and basically degrade Homer straight away.
Yeah.
Like calling him ugly, like, what are you? And then he comes in and like has a brief conversation with Marge's dad while they're waiting for her to come downstairs. And he was like happy about it, which is referenced again later in the episode. And then, yeah, she comes down and asks Homer what he's doing there, essentially. And then Artie Ziff comes in at about the same time. And then Homer says, "Oh, I'm the spare." Something along those lines.
Yeah, the episode gets kind of like not funny from like this point on, but it's kind of like the more somber part of the story.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, Homer's obviously being rejected and replaced by another guy, which is also weird as well. It's just like Artie, conventionally, like if you look at the way that people like that are portrayed, especially in like that time period of media, that person is not conventionally attractive. Like the head of the debate team with the fucking glasses and the pointy nose.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not the fucking...
Oh, I was just remembering an episode of Family Guy we watched last night where they didn't want to put Jewish people into the movies anymore. And they it shoots to a shot of Barbara Streisand and her nose is like pixelated. Oh,
I think it's also more to sort of establish that like Artie is a rebound. Like, because like
right.
Marge actually likes Homer. That's obviously the case. And that it's like...
He's the opposite.
Yeah, he's the opposite. And also she's just like, oh, I'm just going to try and get over this as quickly as possible. I will accept the first person that asks me, and it's just Artie.
Yeah, that makes sense.
true.
And it's, I don't know, like, I don't want to get into it before we get into it, you know, but like, this is also like one of those things where the tone of the episode gets kind of heavy as well.
Yep. Yeah, because like Artie advances on her and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I would only describe it as like sexually assaults her.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Bad.
Very, very bad.
Because, yeah, so we go from there to everybody turning up at the prom, and that's where Dondolinger gets mentioned by name.
Yes.
Homer walks past and says something. He says something to him, and then there's like a beat, and then he says his name.
Okay.
So I don't exactly know what effect they were going for there. A couple of different scenes of everybody lining up to take photos. Marge notices Homer in the line, so her photo's kind of fucked up, and then he's standing there by himself.
Yep.
And then everybody's sort of dancing, and he's sitting... Oh, no, the waiter comes up to him. He's like, do you want steak or chicken? And he's like, both.
Yeah. There's one good Dondolinger scene as well. So he's like sort of supervising the dance, and there's a guy that sort of looks like Homer that comes into frame, and he's hiding something in his like jacket pocket. And Dondolinger goes, "Is that a bong?" The guy like shakes his head. He's like, "You have asthma?" Nods and then lets him in.
Yeah.
Quite good.
Blatantly a bong.
Yeah. And then, yeah, they're dancing on the dance floor, and Artie's singing When Birds Suddenly Appear.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Sort of like talk singing kind of thing.
Yeah.
Very creepy.
Yeah, how does he know that that's Marge's favourite song? Because Homer doesn't. That's why he changes the channel in the car originally.
I don't know if he knows it's her favourite song. I think he's just singing it because it's playing. But this is like the third time that it's used in the episode out of like 4.
Yeah.
It's like sort of placed at significant points.
Yeah.
I've got another quote from Bart here, but I'm not sure where it comes up because there's another cut away back to the family.
Yeah.
And once again, Lisa is really like infatuated with the story, and Bart cuts in and goes, get off the edge of your seat. They got married, had kids, and bought a cheap TV. Because he's still furious about not being able to watch McBain.
Yeah. So Marge essentially goes and comforts Homer because he's sitting in the stairwell.
Comforts is a strange term to use. She kind of like, I don't know, like...
She must feel bad in a way, otherwise she wouldn't have gone to see what was wrong.
She does, but the way that she like sort of says stuff to him is not like get the fuck over it kind of thing, but sort of lays it out as it is kind of thing. Like, I'm here with another guy, you need to like accept that, which is a fair enough point to make, and he sort of does in his own way by leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is when the sarcastic guy comes back into it. He's like, well, where to now, Romeo? Homer says, kissing point. Whoa, hey, I'm only paid to drive.
Yeah. That was my next note. So they pan up to Desperation Point or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
which is when we get that scene of Artie essentially sexually assaulting Marge.
Yeah.
Which, I didn't like really. It's one of those things you don't pick up on as a kid, but when you're an adult and you look at it and you're like, oh, that's actually pretty fucked.
Yeah.
I never really understood it as a kid.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. You just sort of watching it and you're like, oh, he's being a bit like grabby or whatever, but then you actually sort of understand it in an adult context. You're like, oh, that's pretty fucked.
Yeah, she's saying no immediately.
And then the shit that he says after it as well of like,
I don't want you to tell anybody about my busy hands.
it would damage the town to hear it. It's like
Yeah.
the attitude, that used to be the attitude
Yeah.
of like, don't
tell.
Don't tell, because essentially like women were never believed in that context.
Yeah.
That's just like the mentality of like, rich, successful people.
Very true.
Like when we see Artie later on, he's a very rich and very successful person.
Yep.
It's like a lot of them sort of have like a storied history of things like this. Who would have figured?
Yeah.
A couple of NDAs getting floated around.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple of P. Diddy's out here.
P. Fiddly Diddlies.
Hey, ZD.
Oh, that's bad.
All I can imagine is him in his helicopter with Bad Boys for Life playing. Bow, 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 bow.
So at this point, like Homer is at desperation point or kissing point, whatever it's called. And then the sarcastic guy asks him, what do you want to do now? And he's like, I only get paid till 11. And then after that, it's $45 an hour. Then Homer says, nah, I'm broke. I'll walk home. Anyway, spoil a perfect evening.
Yeah. Just being an absolute cunt.
Yeah.
So Homer starts walking home. Marge and Artie are driving, and Marge notices that it's Homer on the side of the road, gets home, and then we have that like speech from Artie that we just spoke about.
Yep.
She immediately, she walks up to the door, which is a scene that I completely forgotten. And there, it's Patty, Selma, everybody's inside actually. They're sort of talking about how they're happy that she went with Artie and were like really, sort of concerned when Homer turned up at first.
I think that's when her dad says the opposite to that.
No, he says that he didn't like him.
Oh, okay.
He says, I was worried when that Simpson kid turned up at first or something like that, which is why she sort of pauses before she walks in. And I don't think it's like the complete impetus for why she like went for Homer, because she obviously already liked him, but it was like just a little bit of like a trigger mechanism for her to like then turn around and be like, oh, well, fuck you a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to now go and be with the guy that I want to be with, specifically because you don't like him.
Yeah.
Which is a very teenage girl thing to do.
And he didn't sexually assault her.
Yeah, that too.
Well done, Homer. We're all proud. And yeah, that is the thing. Like, as you were saying, people usually rebel against what their parents say and do the opposite.
Yes.
So, in spite.
We get that scene after that, which is like this has showed up in like way more episodes than the episodes that we spoke about before, even where they're like retelling this story over 100 fucking times. The scene where Marge picks him up off the side of the road and he takes his like, what's that fucking thing that they always
Like
have?
a brooch.
Corsage.
A corsage, that's the thing. It's like men buy it and they give it to the women over there for their prom kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he still had the one that he was going to give to Marge, and he uses it to fix the broken strap, which is another thing that I sort of watched as a kid but never really picked up on kind of thing. Like there is a little bit of a symbolism to that.
It's like putting it back together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, it was. And then this is when Homer is sort of looking out the window, pondering what he's going to do. And he's like, I know as soon as I get out of this car, I'm going to hug you and kiss you. And I don't think I'll ever be able to let you go.
Yeah.
And she's like happy about that.
Yes.
I think that's when Birds Suddenly Appear plays for the last time.
No, it's playing when she pulls up.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, as she like pulls up and she's talking to him and getting in the car, that's when it's playing. So we get that line that you just said, and then it pans back to them on the couch, and he says like, "And I never did," and then we get this like really sudden ending where it's like Maggie and Lisa are really happy, and then Bart's just like gagging.
Yeah.
And it goes straight to the credits.
Yeah. Yeah. That thing that Homer says, he says, "And I never have." It's in the same
Oh yeah,
cadence. Yeah.
it is too.
The birth of the greatest.
It is.
Yeah. That's pretty much the end of the ep.
It's kind of hard to have like a final thought with the way that it like ended so suddenly as well.
Yeah.
But then they're like, it's also hard to have a final thought when this story has been retconned fucking 4 times.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what's the point of analysing this when we're just going to have to reanalyze a different version of it again?
Yeah.
In like 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll forget
I mean,
about it by that point.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
Hi, folks. I'm Mark McGuire.
Big Mac himself. Who'd have thunk it?
Young Bart here was right. We are spying on you pretty much around the clock.
The why, Mr. McGuire?
Do you want to know the terrifying truth? Or do you want to see me sock a few dingers? Yoink.
And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Ready to go?
Yes.
Good.
Season 11, episode 2.
Nailed it. Titled Brother's Little Helper. Synopsis reads, Bart floods the school gymnasium and the schoolyard, which prompts Skinner threatening to expel him. Bart is diagnosed with ADD and prescribed a Ritalin-esque drug called Focusin. At first, the drug makes Bart well-behaved and intellectual, but soon Bart becomes paranoid, claiming that there are satellites owned by Major League Baseball that are spying on the town. When ordered to stop, Bart refuses, devours a few hundred Focusins, and proves his theory right by destroying the satellite with a tank. All is restored when Bart goes back to his ordinary pills. He's not on ordinary pills.
Yeah, that's a weird fucking synopsis.
Yeah. I don't know. They probably just... I don't know. Yeah, all of them have been good up until this point.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
He's
Anyway.
not regularly. I mean, he is like. There's a joke at the end where he's like taking regular pills, kind of thing. But
Yeah. Maybe, yeah, it's just implied.
I suppose. But it's never spoken about after that. I don't know. Let's fucking move on.
Correct.
So yeah, like you said, the first scene of the episode is they're doing like a.
It's like
the
fire
department.
safety.
Yeah, the fire department's doing like a exhibition day at the school or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's like, have you got any of that first like interaction between him and Skinner written down?
No, but essentially Bart is like getting Skinner to name some of the things that the fire department have brought, and he's like, "Oh, that's a flame retardant."
It's just like, yeah, this like bin is full of retardant. He's like, "What's that?" He's like, "That's a hose lengthener." It's like, "What's this?" And he's like, You don't have to ask me. It's written on the side. It's a king-sized flamer." He starts pissing himself.
Yeah.
Then he starts running around and he's like, "Help, fire engine."
Yeah. Oh no, fire.
Helmets.
Yeah.
Then he runs off after. Yeah. Skinner's like, "Can't you do something constructive?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, I can do something destructive." And he runs off. And that's my first note of the episode. Willie walks up to him and he says, "Do you want me to take care of him? Or you want me to drag this hoe down his back?" And Skinner just looks at him and goes, "I can make it look like suicide."
Yeah, very dark start, which was very cool. And then this is when there's like a set built on the school somewhere for Ned and Maud to display what happens when there's only one smoke detector in the house and Ned's smoking a ciggy.
Well, you're jumping a little bit ahead here because
our game shows are a little different from yours. Your shows reward knowledge. We punish ignorance.
So just before the little like what would it be described as, like informative play that Ned and Maud are doing about fire safety, Skinner gives a little bit of an introduction to that, and he says the line, "Fire can be our friend, whether it's roasting s'mores or..."
Some destroying evidence?
No,
I can't remember it.
"Fire can be our friend, whether it's roasting s'mores or raining down on Charlie."
I don't get... Yeah,
Charlie is what they used to, like Vietnam vets from America is what, like Charlie is what they used to call like the enemy. Like the Viet Cong.
Yep. Damn, okay.
Yeah.
There is, more
dark.
Yeah.
There is more war things later in this episode that we'll get to.
Is there?
Yeah. I'll let you know when we get to it.
Oh, there is. Yeah. I wrote a question mark, but I never looked it up. Hopefully you did.
I did.
Okay.
Okay, so my quote is, any other strange behavior?
Oh, hang on. I think I wrote this down. He quit blinking. He says that's when they get you.
Yeah.
Which is fucking great because it's just moved on from.
Yeah.
Yes. We should actually hit each other this week.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. There's a build-up. My next note is just John Leguizamo question mark.
Yeah, I didn't look
They
into that.
mention the fact that he has like ADD or ADHD or something like that.
Right.
I mean, we're skipping ahead a tiny bit because, the whole impetus of the episode is Bart floods the
Gymnasium.
while Ned and Mort are trying to give that presentation, and Ned ends up catching on fire.
Yeah. And his stunt pants are getting a little too hot, and he breaks character.
Stop, drop, and roll, Ned.
Yeah.
It's just spreading the flames.
Goes up in flames more.
They all go to run for the fire hoses. They realize that they're stuck in the gymnasium. Then, all of the water comes rushing out and puts everything out anyway.
Yeah.
And
then Lisa goes up to Bart. Oh, you've really done it this time.
Yeah.
And Skinner's aggressively angry. Yeah.
Then it cuts to him punching the fuck out of that clown.
The blow-up clown in his office. Yeah.
Turns to Marge and Homer and he's like, thank you for coming in. And Homer's like, thank you for getting me out of work.
Yeah.
Then he goes through that whole explanation of how they think Bart's got ADD with the fucking, the visual representations, the cone.
Yes.
Put it away.
With an unmistakable cone of ignorance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a floor plan with tables and chairs set up, and it's just sort of spiraling down.
Yep.
And everyone sitting around Bart is like a D or an F.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Homer and Marge then go and meet with the scientists.
Yeah. There was one
Don't
other.
take Bart at first, do they?
Don't think so. Yeah, I don't have anything about them taking him or not, but there was one other quote we missed. So it's a scene that always sticks in my head of looking back into the gymnasium after it's been flooded and the floor's all warped, and Willie's on his hands and knees with a blow dryer, and then he's like, "Yeah, there, good as new," and then it goes into Nelson and Milhouse playing basketball, and Nelson throws it at one of the warped bits of floor, and it comes back and smashes Milhouse in the face.
Oh, my sport goggles.
And yeah, so it goes to Skinner wants to put Bart on Ferguson or else he's expelled. So forces Marge and Homer's hand essentially.
Yeah.
And then it goes to them at the laboratory showing all the guinea pigs with the spray of Ferguson over them, and they're all getting lined up on their little chairs.
Yeah,
and
sitting
then
there.
There's a hand puppet of a guinea pig, and they're following that.
Yeah.
And one of the effects of Ferguson is 60% less sass mouth.
Oh, yeah.
And there was something else as well.
Something
but it
else.
wasn't as funny.
Yeah. So we go from there to Homer and Marge discussing how they're going to try and give him the pills.
Back at home, yep.
And then Homer's just sitting there with a slingshot trying to fucking fling him into his mouth.
It's just a rubber band over the couch, and Bart's sitting there playing video games.
Yeah, he's just fucking trying to fling him at the side of his head.
And Marge pokes her head out of the kitchen and says, Homer, I thought we were going to talk to Bart about medication. He's like, oh, medication?
So he's kind of worried about it at first, and I think he goes from there and runs up in his treehouse, and Homer's trying to convince him to come down and have some taffy, which he's obviously just laced with Ferguson. Then he takes a bite out of it himself and starts going fucking haywire, which I wrote a note on because apparently if you're not, because essentially, I don't know, do you know much about ADD medication or anything?
I do. This episode actually sort of resonates with me personally. I was diagnosed with ADD as about Bart's age, 10 or 11. Got put on Ritalin. It really sort of does do what it shows in the episode. Really, you just mellow out and just you're able to focus on stuff. But chemically, it is speed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you don't have it, it's just speed.
So it fucks you up.
Oh, you just get fucking...
Does the opposite.
Oh, you just get cooked.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so there's a whole, not subculture of it kind of thing, but it's just if you don't need, Dexies or Ritalin or anything like that and you take them, it's essentially you just taking speed.
Yeah.
Whereas people that need it, it gives them the adverse effect.
Yeah.
Which is for instance, when we used to go out back in the day, I never used to get the same effects that everybody else did off of pills because I was essentially medicating myself while going out.
Hello, Oh, it does nothing.
No, in fact, I got the best reaction out of all, but it just didn't seem that way.
Right, okay.
Like, Ned needs more drugs. Like, no.
Everybody else is just cooked. You're like reading a book in a club or something.
Got a monocle. And then, so go back to that scene where Homer's like spazzing out, for lack of a better term, in the backyard.
Yep.
After biting the taffy. And then the Flanders are looking over the fence at him. And Rod and Todd go, Daddy, does Mr. Simpson have a demon? He does, son. Run and get Daddy's exorcism tongs.
Yay!
And then, because Bart still doesn't want to take these pills, Marge like says to him, "Oh, you don't have to take them, but for me, can you do it?"
Yeah.
He's like, okay. Just has like more respect for Marge than anyone else in the family. And then it cuts to
they're on the playground.
Yeah, they're on the playground on the jungle gym, and Milhouse says, "Do you want to trade yours for my Claritin?" He's like, "Oh, Claritin D? No, pass."
Yeah.
I looked up what Claritin D was, and it's like a sort of hay fever medication, but it has just different effects to what regular Claritin has.
Like a stronger form of it or something?
Yeah, it's like a little bit drowsier.
Oh, okay.
So it's nothing huge.
Right. But that was a pretty dark joke for him to be making about 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
Have you got the Martin line written down?
And then I can't remember what Martin's drug of choice is, but he's like, "I take hormones to lower my voice. Now I just feel angry. What are you looking at?"
Now all I want to do is fight. So Ralph walks past and he's like,
Yeah.
"What are you looking at?"
Yeah.
Which is fucking hilarious too as well, because he's like, "I take hormones to lower my voice." How fucking high is his voice without hormones?
Yeah, true. Fucking hell.
Well, actually, yeah, that whole like thing has been retconned as well. If we're going to keep like bringing that up, have you seen that? There's like a full. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
There's like a full fucking. I'm not sure if it's an episode dedicated to it or not, but there's like a. What movie is it like?
I think it's meant to be like another 20 Short Tales of Springfield, but it's that Martin is secretly like an adult.
He's like a 40-year-old like adult who's like
An undercover cop.
at school.
Like an undercover cop.
What the fuck?
He gets off the school bus one time and like walks inside. He's still got like a wife and a kid and shit.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
Like full breaks voice, like has like a deep voice and everything. It's
Yeah, I've never
odd.
even.
It's
heard
like
of that.
real late.
I think it's like a very recent episode. It's like season 30 something.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Should have done that one into the mic, Neddy.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know why I didn't. Next scene is him in the classroom. Oh, sorry. What's going wrong with me today? Yeah, we go from like they're all on the jungle gym to they're in the classroom, and then Nelson mentions that there's dogs fighting outside.
Yep.
They all run to the windows. They turn around, and Krabappel's shocked that he's still in his seat, and then he starts having that little bit of an inner monologue about whether the drug's starting to affect him or not.
Yep.
And I can't remember what happens in between there or not, but like my mind just goes straight away to the next scene of like Homer being at the plant with his cut off pants on. Oh no, there is a scene in between that because they're at dinner.
Oh, I've got another one. They go to like Krusty's show, and he's bringing up Sideshow Melanie, and it's just Sideshow Mel dressed up in a red dress, and then Krusty's bow tie starts spinning when he sees her, and then it continues spinning so much that it like starts choking him, and then there's a guy on the other side with a remote control for it.
Bow tie spinner.
Yeah. And then I can't remember exactly what he says, but
Says, "I'm sorry, Krusty, I choked." You choked. Starts choking him.
That's it. Yeah.
So Lisa's watching that, and then she runs upstairs to like tell Bart that Krusty just fired his one of his assistants or something like that, and Bart's reading.
Yep.
And she gets a little bit weirded out about that.
That's right. That's where this quote comes
I'm
in.
not a time burglar.
Exactly what I've got written down. So
Are you standing up to get me to leave?
Yeah. Yeah. And he's got like an electric memo maker.
Yes.
Note to self. Shut up, Lisa.
So then we have the dinner scene where he's talking. I can't remember what he's talking to Homer about exactly. Something about
I don't know.
activity somewhere or something like that. But then he says something about like shorts.
I have been thinking about making cutoffs. And then the next scene, it cuts to the plant, and he's got like sort of undie length pants with the pockets hanging out the bottom of them still. And then Homer types into his electric organizer, buy sunscreen for legs.
The quote here is fucking great because he like gets a drink of water and he says something like, the kid's great. He organized all the lawsuits and get me into one class action.
And then there's like a bit of a monologue between Lenny and Carl and Homer.
No, just before that, the next line is Homer talking about the electric organizer thing, and he says, I'll ask it, how many leagues in a furlong? Wait, I'll make it say, what's the matter you in Turkish? Which I should have written down.
Yeah, we'll see if like the pronunciation and dialect was
I'm
proper.
assuming it would be.
Yeah, they've done it for everything
seems
else.
to be like, pretty on point.
Yeah.
But what do Lenny and Carl talk? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's like a back and forth between Lenny. Carl says like, those things are great. And Homer goes to tell him like, oh, well, they sell them at this store for like, he says, a man could do great things with one of those.
Yeah.
Or have you got it written down?
No.
He said, yeah, a man could do great things with one of those. Homer's like, oh, well, they sell them down, and before he even gets to tell him where and how much they are, Carl's just like, yeah, a man could do great things. Just walks off.
Yeah. Just showing interest for the sake of it.
Yeah, just essentially making conversation.
Yeah. And then they go back to the house, and Marge is saying how good Bart's behaviour is that they'll actually get to go out and have a night out. And Marge organises to go and see Showgirls with Homer.
That's right.
Yeah. And they're like, cuts to them eating popcorn and stuff, and there's like a back and forth between like two strippers in the movie they're watching and some dude, and the guy says like, all right, ladies, time to take your tops off. And then Homer's like thanking Marge for this gift of being able to watch essentially porn.
And Marge is interested in it to some degree, like for the relationship between somebody. But my next note is the recurring gag of Homer always having a mini flag. There's just always, like, for some reason, he's just always got a miniature flag attributed to whatever the fuck he's watching. Like, we didn't cover it, but it was like the XFL episode that we watched a couple of days ago, where he's got that, or he's like, one of the episodes, there's like a new season of TV starting, so he's got like a flag for that. He's always just got like these tiny little fucking tote flags for everything. It just says Showgirls on it. And he's got a bear as well.
Yeah. Even one of the episodes we watched just for enjoyment the other night, the thumbnail was like Homer in a Fat Pride shirt and the little flag that says girth.
That's right.
It's like, I don't know if either of you know the history of that movie either, of Showgirls.
No.
It is like
vaguely.
It is like notoriously like one of the worst rated and like worst received movies ever. It's a huge box office bomb.
Okay. They usually take the piss out of those sort of movies.
Oh, yeah. And it's like the fact that like Homer and Marge are like fangirling over it. And it's like sort of, notoriously one of the worst movies ever made.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Gives it some context.
Yeah.
And that's like 2 weeks in a row as well that they've made jokes about like really bad movies.
But it's
also
also
it was Godfather 3 last week.
Yeah. Yeah. It was also like just funny because like Showgirls came out in 1995.
Yeah.
So this is like well after Showgirls came out.
Yeah,
as
5 or
well.
6 years later.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, weird.
This is when Marge and Homer leave and come home to Lisa and Maggie sitting on the steps outside.
Yep.
And Lisa's saying Bart's acting really strange. And they go into his room and he's got like coat hangers hanging off coat hangers from the ceiling.
Yep.
And he's wrapping himself up in like a big thing of alfoil.
Tin foil, and he's got a fucking like a garbage bin lid on his head. And he says close the door.
Yeah.
You audibly hear the door close. Then it pans to the family and the door's still open.
Boy, I really hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
Thank you.
And that's when we got the quote that I used for the game show is like they take him back.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's all I got.
Yeah, there's a good couple of little interactions there where like the first scene is he's like running on the treadmill and Marge is like, I understand they're the electrodes, but why is he on the treadmill? It's like, that was his idea. He said he felt fab.
Yeah.
So they try to take away his drugs.
They offer him different drugs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Soon enough, you become just as attached to these three amigos.
Yeah. There's like a sort of, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like a red face, like mask.
Yeah, it's like one of the like comedy and tragedy masks.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what it was. It like knocks them out of the doctor's hands
Yep.
and then goes to the focus and takes a handful.
Just fucking handfuls of it and throws it down his throat.
So originally in the script, they had Bart like fully emptying the whole jar into his mouth, but
That's dark.
yeah, that's why they cut it. And yeah, it's still like having a couple of handfuls will fuck you up too, but
Probably kill you.
yeah, exactly. And I don't know exactly what happens, but I think the doctors essentially like strap Marge and Homer into a chair, and they've got like syringes ready to inject them with something.
No, they're not even like in a chair or anything like that. The syringe, they press a button because like I can't remember what Marge and Homer say. They say something about like you've got to help us.
Yeah.
Or like something to that effect. And then the scientists press a button and these two syringes come down from the roof and just inject them straight in their arms.
Homer says, "Hey, that was just air in mine," and then it takes 2 seconds. And he's like,
Which is 100% like if you got like an air bubble in your blood system, like you're dead.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where my war-related thing comes up. So I can't remember what it does. It sort of pans over like T-shirts or something, and one of them says, "I went to the Persian Gulf and all I got was this lousy syndrome."
Yes.
Was the slogan on the shirt. And then looked into it and it said, Gulf War illness is linked to exposure to sublethal amounts of organophosphates, particularly sarin, exposure to pesticides containing other organophosphates, and exposure to pills containing pyridostigmine bromide. So I know bromide's bad as well. Used as a pre-treatment to protect against nerve agent effects.
Holy shit!
Has been found to be associated with the neurological effects seen in Persian Gulf War syndrome. Approximately 250,000 of the 697,000 US veterans who served in the Gulf War have endured chronic multi-symptom illness, a condition with serious consequences.
Fuck. Oh my god.
So that's
I knew it was going to be bad, but not that bad. Do you know how many war crimes were in that sentence?
Yeah.
Pretty much every single one of them.
Pretty fucked up, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
and for just such a quick passing gag, like
Yeah.
that T-shirt was on the screen for maybe 2 seconds.
Not even a second it would have been. Like, because it's literally like, it's uncovered by the fact that he moves the jacket, I think, to get the keys. Or it's already there. It's like panning past it and he grabs the keys and it's just gone.
Yeah.
Fuck, that is rough.
It's going to be rough. That keeps coming up. Yeah, my next note is just Bart in tank.
Yeah, he's driving the tank down the road and Burns spots him in the binoculars, which is also a pretty fucking dark joke. He's like, "Smithers, we're at war." "I'll begin profiteering, sir." And Burns is like, "And hoarding."
So I got here the sequence of Bart stealing an army tank and destroying half of Springfield under the influence of mind-altering substances is likely a reference to Sean Nelson, a man infamous for a similar, albeit serious, incident.
Was this the guy that killed?
Killdozer guy? Is that him?
I was about to say Killdozer guy.
Must be.
Mad Dog.
He literally like bought a bulldozer and like
San Diego tank rampage in 1995.
Yep. He just fucking.
Jeez.
Well, coincidentally, the same years that Showgirls that came out.
Yeah. Oh, Christ. What did he do? Yeah, fucking hell.
He basically just like, it was either like he modified like a tank like or a fucking truck and just went fucking nuts. Just drove through buildings and like crushed cars. Like
That's still not the worst fan we got on this show anyway.
He hasn't killed quite as many people.
Get up your game, Killdozer. You ought to be mentioned on this show. This is McVeigh territory.
Speaking of fans reaching out.
Oh, God. Should we or should we not?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, let's not.
He knows
let's
who he
completely
is.
cut this.
And we never did.
Moving on. So Bart drives the tank to the school and starts sort of like panning the turret around to a different couple of places, aims at the school, and Skinner says something. I can't remember exactly.
No, not the school. Something like that.
Yeah, he just says, whatever he says isn't really a joke. And then he pans to the church and Lovejoy's like, "Not the church. Jesus lives there."
And it pans to Grumopple.
No. No, that's what's funny about the school one. She's like, yeah, he points at the school and Skinner's like, no, not the school. And Bob was like, wait, please think of the children. Well, she's standing there just huffing a dart.
Yeah.
Couldn't give less of a fuck.
Yeah.
So yeah, the church. Then he pans at the frame store and Homer's weirdly upset about the frame store for some reason. Then he pointed at the sky and Mel's like, not the sky, that's where clouds are born. So he shoots into the sky, blatantly hits something. This satellite comes crashing back down to Earth. The fire department turns up and they're all looking through the books. It doesn't say anything about satellite fires.
Yeah. Wiggum pulls Bart out of the tank and says more analogies and references he probably doesn't realize he's doing, calling him like a Looney Tune and Drugs Bunny.
That's right.
Which is like a joke they use several times throughout the series of like Wiggum unintentionally saying things along the same
like witty
line.
things and then not realizing that he said them. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was one other thing when Bart was driving the tank through like Springfield itself, comes up to Krusty's clown car and he sort of sees it coming and tells everyone to get out of the car and they all come out and he's like, quick, Sir Wide Bottom. And then Bart runs it over. He's like, ass is stuck in the car still. He's like, I'm sure I'm alive, but why?
So yeah, the satellite crashes to Earth, and then it turns out that Bart was actually telling the truth. For some reason, Major League Baseball was spying on him,
checking everyone's credit scores and hat sizes.
Yeah, he's got information on everybody.
Yeah,
and Mark McGuire turns up in a helicopter.
We are spying on you, pretty much around the clock.
Well, but why, Mr. McGuire? Do you want to know the terrifying truth? Or do you want to see me psych a few dingers? Dingers! And he smashes a ball like 300 yards. Everyone's like, ooh. And he puts all the fucking stuff under his hat.
Yeah, there's like a big wad of paper.
This high. And he's like looking around.
Yeah, fucking hilarious.
Then the last note that I've got, or like the second last note that I've got before my final thoughts is fucking, it cuts back to the family and they're talking about how they got that signed and autographed bat, and it like goes.
Why is the zero made of glass?
It goes like as they say that it's like blatant, like shot from a video camera inside the bat. Did you see the notes on the fucking screen?
No.
There's a note that says squalor index.
97%.
97%.
Yes, I did see that. Yeah.
It's just such a nice touch. Like, once again, it's just like a literal like second that it's there.
Yeah.
And you got to be staring at it to notice it, but fuck, it's good.
Yeah.
Do you have any other notes before my final thoughts, or?
I've just got one of Bart's quotes. So it's when he does like the Popeye rendition. He's like, when I can't stops me fiddling, I just takes me riddling. I'm popping and something, man.
I'm popping and sailing, which is kind of like a little bit of a reference to him being whacked out on drugs the entire episode.
Yeah.
Which is also a nice like visual touch as well. It's like throughout the entire episode, you like his face just gets like more and more geeked out the entire time. Like by the end of it, he's got like his overbites like hanging all the way out over his mouth, and he's like all like.
You can see that when he's in the tank.
Yeah, he's like blatantly supposed to physically look crazy as well. So my note, or like my final thoughts for it was it was an interesting parallel to today, where every second person has been medicated for ADHD. What you staring at?
I was just ensuring that the mics were working for whatever reason.
Okay, then.
It is coming up.
Yes.
Yes.
Go on.
Yes, it was an interesting parallel today where every second person has been medicated for ADHD, and my note was just weakness, just raw doggy mental problems like a real man.
Even like a funny parallel.
Don't actually do that.
No, definitely don't do that. But also just like another funny parallel is that like the conspiracy theory that he like finds of like Major League Baseball spying on people is like something people would not even bat a fucking eye at today.
No.
If like
fuck no.
No. Like you'd find people that would actually believe something like that.
Dude, the Pentagon came out like a year and a half ago and literally said in a report, aliens exist, and everyone just went,
You know, a kid.
Yeah, right.
There's a video of it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Like from like fighter pilots' perspective, and it's fucking wild.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to see that.
Just fucking like it's gotten to the point that like, and this is probably too deep for a Simpsons podcast, but it's gotten to the point where it's just like most people's personal lives are so fucked that it's like no one cares about this big. You don't have the time or the capacity to care about this bigger shit. It's like, I've got other stuff going on.
Yeah, if you're really delving into the conspiracy side of things, you have too much time on your hands to spare. Like, I've got plenty of time, but I still don't go down that rabbit hole because I know it's just endless and pointless.
Yes.
It's also kind of funny. It's very funny.
Oh, it's if you can like object, like if you can sit there and look at it and just be like, these people are fuckwits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is entertaining.
Yeah.
If you're watching it to try and gain, knowledge from it. Yeah. You're looking in the wrong places.
It's a good haha.
Yeah.
But then, there's just the people that genuinely believe it, and it's just like, bro, what is wrong with you?
Yeah. You're too much.
Yeah.
Please go away from me now.
Aren't you, insert name here, the wacko?
Come on, you've been warned.
Oh man, that breeze feels good. To the panic room!
We don't have a panic room!
To the panic room store! Come with me if you want to live.
Another politician who can't keep his promises.
Season 21, episode 4.
Are you ready to laugh? Oh, that poor dog.
Yes.
I mean,
we've
I
hit
was.
a stinker.
Yeah.
It is a Treehouse of Horror episode.
Yeah.
Treehouse of Horror 20. The synopsis pretty much tells us all we need to know about all three. So
This is going to be very short.
Yeah. The notes that I've written are basically redundant. So I was just trying to fill in context for the episode, but we don't need it.
And let's see how much this makes mine redundant.
Yeah. All right. So the first part is dial M for murder. Dial M for, murder or press. Hash to return to main menu. That's what the first part's called, apparently. I fucked that entirely.
Right.
Lisa conspires with Bart to get revenge on their teachers after Miss Hoover sends Lisa to detention. However, when Bart kills Hoover, but Lisa does not kill Mrs. Krabappel, he tries to blackmail her. To stop him, Lisa chases Bart with a knife until she declares she is not a murderer. She throws the knife away, but it flies back and kills Bart. Part 2 is Don't Have a Cow, Mankind. Krusty introduces a new hamburger made from cows that have eaten other cows. The burgers turn their townsfolk into zombies, but the Simpsons have survived. When they learn Bart is immune, the family make their way to a safe zone to develop a cure. Upon arrival, Bart is made to bathe in people's food to gain immunity. There's no business like Mo business is the third part. Mo creates a new beer that becomes a sensation thanks to Homer being impaled on the microbrew machine and bleeding into the beer supply. Mo tries to woo Marge by saying Homer left her, but Homer returns and hurls Mo away to reunite with Marge.
Yeah, pretty much. That covers all of it.
And that's a wrap.
Yeah.
There's one thing. So the first segment includes numerous parodies of Alfred Hitchcock films. The plot of the segment is a parody of Strangers on a Train, while Psycho, North by Northwest, Spellbound, and Vertigo are also referenced, in particular the Vertigo effect. The main theme from Psycho by Bernard Herrmann is used extensively during the first part. The title of the segment is a reference to Dial M for Murder. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know heaps about Hitchcock movies, but I know they're all decent from what I hear.
Yes.
But, yeah, this whole scene was shot in black and white, which was sort of immediately a bit off-putting, just because I didn't know what the context of it was. And, yeah, the synopsis reads all of them. There was one cool scene. I think it was meant to be like the couch gag essentially, but like there was 4 monsters that came out. So it was like Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, and
it's like the Halloween cold open that they do at the start of every episode. Yeah.
Yeah. And Krabappel, and they come into the Simpsons house, and Krabappel and Dracula do like a tandem shotgun. So like Dracula bites the can and there's 2 holes and they both crack it and drink it.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, they're all there like cheating on their wives essentially.
Yeah. And then the wives of all the monsters come over to find their men and start.
Kill Homer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then his head goes into the punch bowl and he rolls back around and opens his eyes and it's XX.
Yeah.
Symbolizing the episode.
Yes. I've got one quote written down from the entire episode, and it was pretty much the first line, and I'm pretty sure you have it written as well. So the whole impetus for Lisa getting sent to detention is like she's expecting to be selected for this spelling competition or something like that, and then it turns out that there's some random Asian kid in the class that's like supposedly smarter than her that Miss Hoover selects anyway. And as it like pans to the Asian kid and Miss Hoover like selects him, Ralph's in the background and he goes, "Hooray for different face!" Which is like the only fucking thing that made me laugh from the episode.
Yeah.
What happens straight after that? So, like, yeah, Lisa starts losing her shit. She goes to detention.
Sees Bart there.
Makes that agreement with Bart, then goes and, like...
she doesn't realise there's, like, an underlying precedent that she has to kill Krabappel.
So she goes and, like, rings her doorbell and runs away.
Yes.
Then
the knock, run, and ditch.
Yeah, ding-dong ditch is what they call it over there.
Yeah.
So... goes to tell Bart that she's done that. Then Bart shows her Hoover's head because he's killed her and says that she needs to kill Krabappel.
Yeah.
Then there's a couple. I think there's only not even a couple. There's like one scene where she's like sort of given the opportunity to easily kill Krabappel because she's got her head under like a blade or something like that.
Yeah, it's under like a what's it called? It's just used to cut paper, like a guillotine. Sorry.
Yes.
That's what it is. Yeah.
So she's trying to like cut a cigar on it or something like that.
Yeah.
Bart's outside the window. And they keep using the phrase crisscross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that come up in Hitchcock films?
What that's a reference to?
Probably.
Perfect answer.
And I helped. The only other note that I have for this episode, or like this section of the episode, is he tried to turn all the taps on when they're in the bathroom together. And he it's like a scene from like heaps of, it's used a billion fucking times in so many different contexts, but like where people are trying to have a private conversation in a bathroom and somebody like turns on a hairdryer or turns on all the taps. He walks past all the taps and turns them on, but they're all sensor taps like they would be today. So as he walks past and like turns the next one on, the one behind it's turning off.
Yes.
As he gets up to Lisa, nothing's running and they're just having a conversation out in the open.
Yeah, I remember that scene. I didn't pick up on that was what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it made me think like, did they have sensor taps in 2010? I don't remember ever having like the luxury of not having to turn the tap on.
No, they definitely did.
I mean, they did,
Damn.
but not in like common places.
I'm
like they
poor.
are now. Squalor index.
Blows up.
This baby's going off the charts. So, yeah, you mentioned that it's like a conglomeration of a bunch of different plots from like Hitchcock movies. So then we get the next sort of montage scene where Lisa's chasing him with a knife, running through a couple of different situations and he's trying to hide from her. Then they're on the, what the fuck is that thing called?
I don't know. It's sort of like a merry-go-round. That's all I can picture it as, like a fucking thing that just spins in a circle.
Never seen one over here.
They are here. It's just we don't frequent playgrounds that often.
As you shouldn't.
No, it's like even like as a kid, I don't think I ever remember seeing one.
Yeah, they weren't the most fun things. Like
And
you
they
just feel sick after
Seem
it.
pretty fucking dangerous too.
It's
Yeah.
one of the like spinning
Spinny things that's got like all the bars and stuff on it.
Bro, it's like fucking broken limbs waiting to happen.
Yeah. It's like they did that scene in Jackass where they like tied a rope to it and people are holding on to it. And
Well, they put the motorbike up to it and like they put the back wheel of the motorbike on the spinning mechanism at the bottom. It's just like going crazy fast.
They do that on an episode of The Simpsons. Bart and Milhouse do that. I'm pretty sure. I don't know they do it with a motorbike, but they do that on like that specific piece of play equipment.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, she throws the knife in the air and inadvertently kills him, but then sort of walks off with Krabappel and they're both sort of smiling. So it's implied that maybe she meant to do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
And that's a wrap.
Fucking moving on. The
So-
next section of the episode is a takeoff of 28 Days Later, which is,
Correct.
it's not even like a takeoff of it. It's literally like that first scene happens where Brockman and Krusty go nuts from eating the meat and start biting everybody, and then it fades to black, and then in the bottom right hand corner of the screen it says 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
So it's literally fucking, here is this fucking movie. My note was it's a strange timing that we'd be watching this right fucking now, considering there's a sequel for it, either already released or due to release very soon. And that movie came out like 15 fucking years ago. Maybe more.
Yeah, more.
Probably more.
Like early 2000s.
So once again, just another one of those like crazy life through lines. And it's like, it's a massive fucking coincidence that we're doing a fucking, you know, a podcast about that or about The Simpsons that covers that to a degree. It's just fucking, yeah. These things just seem to keep happening.
Yeah.
It's weird.
All
I'm
the
getting
time.
worried.
They're onto us.
I'm scared.
You're old, Neddy.
I did like what the burger was called, Burger Squared.
Ah, yeah.
That was quite funny. And I can't remember what Ken Brockman says before he eats the burger, but immediately turns him ravenous and zombified.
Yeah, he bites Krusty and Krusty says something about that's his like check cashing arm.
Yeah, that's
and then,
it.
yeah, they go crazy and start biting everybody.
Yep.
Then we get like a couple of like different plot points from the movie.
Yep.
They're all in the house and they go
They've
to...
boarded up all the windows and
Yeah,
doors.
that's right. They sort of figure out that Bart's the cure before that because he eats a bit of the burger.
No, he's in his room with the telescope and he's looking out to see like where food is because they've got nothing left in the house, and he sees like Ralph or someone zombified on the street, and he's like, oh, the coast is pretty much clear, and like looks at Krusty Burger and zooms in. There's a burger just sitting there, and cuts from that to Marge walking up to check on Bart, and he's knocked a pail out of the window.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's eating the burger in the corner, and Lisa's like, oh no, he's eating one of the burgers. And he doesn't actually turn into a zombie.
So it turns out that he's immune to it.
Yep.
And they go to walk out the front door. And Homer's like...
They got to be really quiet.
Got to be really quiet. As soon as he walks outside, he like...
Man, it's good to get some fresh air.
Stretches, and then everybody, like all the munchers is what they call them, come fucking piling out from behind everything.
Yeah.
They run back inside and they kick down the door, and then McBain makes his second appearance of this episode.
Yeah.
Comes through and starts like killing a bunch of them for a couple of seconds, then says like the classic line of "Come with me if you want to live," and then gets swarmed by him.
Yeah.
Then Apu's at the window and takes him away in that fucking...
It's like a road warrior type vehicle.
Yeah, so another fucking through line. There you go.
Yeah. I've got written here like Homer rings Dr. Hibbert to see like what they can do about Bart ingesting the burger.
Oh, that's
and
right.
In the meantime, there's all zombies and stuff coming into his practice, and I've got beats off the zombies with limbs and syringes. So he's got like a fucking severed arm that he's using to hit him off with, and like throws a syringe like a ninja star into one of the heads of one of the zombies.
And he's just getting swarmed. It gets bitten by the end of it. And he says something like, have you seen my wife? Tell her I love her. Homer's just like, I'll just give her a high five.
Yeah.
He says like, I don't really know her.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, that's when McBain comes in and they're like running around the house looking for a panic room that Homer just thinks they have.
Say something about like, to the panic room, and one of them's like, we don't have a panic room, and he's like, to the panic room store.
Yeah.
Yeah, so McBain kicks in the door, then Apu saves them.
And the reason he's not a zombie is because he's a vegetarian.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And he's driving them away, and they go into like what looks like a junkyard of some sort to get away from the zombies chasing them.
It's like a big pile of cars, like a wall or something. Yeah.
Yeah. They drive up on top of that, and then Apu says something like, oh, I'll hold them off while you guys, I'll push the car because it got stuck on the top.
Yep.
And then he pushes it and they start going down, and then he's like, oh, I assumed you guys were going to stop at the bottom to save me.
Yeah, Marge, like it cuts to the car, and Marge is so selfless of Apu to like give his life for us, and he's standing up the top. He's like, you're supposed to stop at the bottom and wait for me.
Yeah.
And he gets mobbed by all the munchers.
Yeah.
Then
they're driving to the safe zone, and Helen Lovejoy as a zombie like gets to them somehow, and one of them's going to kill her.
No, that's before it.
Before what?
That's before like they make the jump. She jumps on the windshield, and Apu hands the gun to Marge and says something like, you need to kill her. And I can't remember who does.
Nah, Marge says I can't kill her because she's Lisa's godmother.
Godmother, yeah.
I was
which
like,
has
when the fuck
never been explained at any point in time. I was like, that's weird. They
Yeah.
didn't even really seem like that good of friends.
No. Well, that's like, one of the first introductions of a side character was Helen Lovejoy. And she basically walks in on Marge and Jacques.
Yeah, you're right. True. She was one of the very first
to have a proper voice and be named.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So this is a rare instance that we've actually like caught onto something for once.
Yeah, getting more backstory that doesn't even really seem necessary.
No.
But yeah, then the car dies, and there's that like there's a scene where they're all like walking up to the safe zone, and that's where I have my next note of like The Last of Us question mark, because I thought it was a little bit like similar to the way that the plot of that game plays out.
Yep.
Which I'm not sure whether they were making a reference to it at that point in time, and then the more that I think about it, it probably wasn't even out.
No, what year did this episode come out?
It's like 15 years ago.
Yeah, this is like 2010 or 11.
Yeah, no.
It's like 2012, 2013.
I think Last of Us, 2012, 2013.
So similar though.
Yeah.
Similar to the point where it's like they had that little bit of like a moral, like, because their solution to it is, oh yeah, Bart's the cure, but we just need to like eat his flesh, and then we'll all be cured. And then Marge gets a backup about that straight away, but then they instantly cut to that whole utopia that they've built. But Bart has to constantly bathe in this massive soup of all their food so that they can be immune to the disease.
I think as well on the way to the safe zone was just one thing we didn't mention. Homer sees like Smithers and Burns dead on the side of the road, and Homer says like, "Oh, got your nose," to Burnsy, and it breaks off, and then that wakes him up, and he bites Homer, and that's what turns Homer into a zombie.
That's right.
I think they try and talk to Homer, and he says a couple of things. I can't remember what they were.
Yeah, I don't really care to remember, to be honest.
Nah.
I don't care.
There was one scene after they get to the safe zone, and they're like saying what they're going to do to Bart to cure everyone, and Reverend Lovejoy like is pulling on his collar, and he's like, "Why would anyone eat the flesh of their savior?" And then it turns to Lovejoy, and he's like, "Ooh."
Ah, right. I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Are you ready to laugh?
Yeah.
This is fucking terrible.
And yeah, that was the end of that part of the episode.
I've only got one note for the next part of it. Because
Was
it's
it,
like supposed to be.
What the fuck are these musical montages?
Yeah,
that's my note.
So it's supposed to be like some form of stage play.
Yeah,
to a
because like
degree.
the curtains open and close.
And it's just this weird ass story, yeah, like we described before, of Homer falling on some microbrew thing and then Mo weirdly hitting on Marge instantly. I don't know why I keep burping off of mic. My only note is, why did they torture us by making us listen to Marge and Mo sing?
Yeah, true.
You could not have picked two of the worst fucking voices to try and make musical. Like, I don't...
No tone whatsoever.
I understand kind of thing, because it's like, yeah, it's funny that these two people that have bad voices are singing, but it's like, it's funny for like 5 seconds, and then we have to listen to it for like a couple of minutes or several times over, and it's like, I just don't want to hear these fucking...
Is it meant to be like a parody of Little Shop of Horrors?
Didn't see that, but
what
maybe.
happens in that?
Oh, it's basically the same plot, but it's like a killer plant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll look it up.
And we never did.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it just like, I don't know, this whole, like, it was a Halloween, like, segment, you could say, because there was, like, you know, that slightly weird element of them drinking Homer's blood, I suppose, but apart from that, it just seemed a little bit disjointed and out of place.
Yeah, comparing it to, like, between seasons 2 and probably 12, I always enjoyed the Halloween episodes as, like, not analyzing it type thing, like just watching it.
Yeah.
Most of them are pretty good. And yeah, I don't know what they're aiming for. Like, just make it funny. Like, you don't have to replicate something that's been done already. Just think of something new.
Well, it's that wasn't even my major. Like, the first two ones were, they weren't that fucking great. But my major problem, and what I've really started to sort of figure out or notice after watching these season 20 and 21 episodes, is I think they're trying to change certain characters within the Simpsons to like emulate other characters within media. Like, Moe's always been creepy, right? But after a period of time in like the teens or like even like the season 20 episodes, he just gets like for lack of a better explanation, this real like quagmire quality to him. Like if you look at like we've been watching a bit of Family Guy lately, and like he's like blatantly just like a sex offender and stuff like that, but it's like way out from the start. It's like instantly that is established as his character trait, whereas they've sort of morphed Mo into this like creepier and creepier person over time, which has been like just sort of
Philanderization, my friend.
yeah.
You take one aspect and you just dial it up to 11.
Yep. Yeah, so
they,
now
they
he's
could have chosen like the better aspect of Mo, which is his like pettiness and his like obviously dirt-like appearance, and
Yeah,
played
just-
on that more than the
Even just like the funny like criminal shit that like it's implied that he does, like the whale.
yeah. Get Shamu back to SeaWorld.
That's right, I'm a surgeon. She's at the feds.
That's it. Like as you were describing, like they've accentuated that side of him where they could have chose any of these funny sides instead of the creepy.
Yeah. And trying to
Fucking-
make that funny.
Yeah.
Which it's like, it's one of those things. It's like, it's not funny because it's like in this mid range of it. The reason that the way that they do it in Family Guy is so funny is because it's like
extreme.
It's just
Yeah.
what is the absolute worst possible joke we can make out of this situation? Let's make it, because there's like 1 in a billion people that are actually fucking like this.
Yeah. And they've got the MA 15 plus rating, whereas The Simpsons is basically
They've-
PG.
They've got to work within these weird sort of guidelines that don't allow them to make the characters what they should be.
They can only imply things rather than explain.
It's
Yes.
not even like what the characters should be. It's like what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And like what they're trying to do, and we've discussed it a few times before, is just like emulate shows like South Park, Family Guy, American Dad.
Yeah.
where, like
They're competing with them.
yeah, and it's like you shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's like you were the inspiration for every
Yeah.
single one of these shows.
Yeah.
Without The Simpsons, these other shows don't exist. You shouldn't be trying to copy your predecessors.
Yeah. Stick to what made you great.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to do that, hire new people. Hire younger generations of people.
It's like the reason those first few seasons of The Simpsons are so memorable is because the writing is fucking sharp as a tack, man.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, we were watching an episode from season 6 last night. What episode was it?
Itchy and Scratchy
Itchy and
Land.
Scratchy Land. And like,
It's a fucking banger, bro.
I
It's so
turned to Matt at
fucking
one
good.
point and I was like, how are we even going to cover this? I was like, every fucking line is a joke.
Yeah. Come along, Bart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Attention, Marge Simpson. Oh boy, I'd be embarrassed if I was that boy's mother. Attention, Marge Simpson. We've also arrested your older, balder, fatter son.
I'm trying to remember the 3 lines that like the lab technicians say when they're like working on the fucking.
Yeah. Oh God.
Because we're out of bought license plates, but there's like another
That
2.
was the third one.
Yeah, the other 2 are fucking great as well. It's like all 3 of those are fantastic jokes by themselves. So all 3 of those, like in that literal 1 second scene, are better than most of the season 20 and 21 episodes I've seen, bar that one that was really fucking good.
Yeah.
You notice the Bort is done in the rule of 3s as well. He looks and he finds the Bort license plate of the thing.
Holy shit.
He's like, come along, Bort.
Were you
We're
talking
out.
to me?
No, my son's name is also Bort.
And
Yeah.
then we're out of bought license plates. Oh my God. Always happens.
And that's why it's probably like the repetition of things to make it sink in and resonate and stay with you for so long is because it's drilled into you without you realizing unless you're actually analyzing.
And it's just done in like a clever way as well.
Yeah.
All the early episodes are just like written in a way where it's all memorable.
Yeah.
And it's like it's so few and far between where a joke does not land.
Yeah.
And it's like just unheard of in comedy writing.
Yeah. I think there was probably like less pressure on the writers early days because there was barely any competition with animated shows.
Yeah.
Up until probably like early 2000s, whereas they're like, oh, fuck, we've got to sort of one up these guys here. They're basing their thing off us, but they've got fresh ideas.
And I think it's like your only frame of comparison early on as well as like the Jetsons and the Flintstones.
Yeah. And they were more like not the same like line of humor.
No, they're
a lot more family friendly.
Yeah.
They also very much follow the family sitcom
Yep.
more closely as a foundation for everything as well. Like even with the canned laugh track and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Oh, yeah, that is in the Flintstones.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can find this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Never Instagram. Go fuck yourselves. They banned me again after they gave me another account. I can't fucking make sense
You
of
got
it.
like 6 hours of
Yeah,
Instagram.
6 hours of it.
You had one follower, which was me.
And that's enough for Ned. All right, we'll speak to you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
You're not mad at me, are you?
So we asked ourselves, who's behind the badge? Police? Cops? Police cops.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing about that is,